Welcome viewers to the Saturday, July 15th edition of 284 News. I am Jacko Wooding, bringing you our top stories from this week. Thank you so much for joining us. In a recent sitting of the House of Assembly, Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley expressed his disappointment regarding the decision to release an unredacted version of the report on the examination of the House of Assembly's COVID-19 assistance grants to the public. The Premier voiced his concerns and empathized with individuals named in the report who may face public scrutiny despite having done nothing wrong, as well as those who might be shamed by the society for needing financial assistance.
I begged and I pleaded for the names of the persons in this report to be redacted. I begged and I pleaded for identities of the private citizens who applied for this assistance for their names to be private. I don't think disclosing the identities of these persons has done anything to further the cause of good governance. The identities of the persons should have been left out. But that fell on deaf ears.
While recognizing the importance of public access to information, Premier Wheatley underscored the necessity of safeguarding the well-being and reputations of those affected by the report's contents. He called for a more thoughtful and responsible approach to ensure that individuals seeking assistance during challenging times are treated with respect and compassion.
And I feel very badly for the persons who innocently sought to receive assistance in a difficult time, an unprecedented time, where the economy of the entire Virgin Islands was shut down. And now we have placed these persons' names in the public sphere to be scrutinized and in some instances condemned and ridiculed. It is very sad. And perhaps some persons, especially given some of the information in here, will want to seek remedies for how their reputation will be sullied as a result of their name being placed in a particular context and the appearance of doing something wrong, especially when all the proper information isn't in the report.
That report sparked a debate among sitting members of the House of Assembly who expressed a shared view that the presentation of the audit findings lacked essential context necessary for the public to fully understand how the funds were utilized. As the discussion unfolded, it became evident that the members mentioned in the report felt that crucial details were omitted, leaving the public with an incomplete understanding of the spending allocations. These members emphasized the need for transparency and the inclusion of relevant context to provide a comprehensive picture of the expenditure of the grants.
Madam Speaker, I will not in any way try to defraud or circumvent any of the rules and regulations that we set in this honorable House, including any of the laws that exist in this territory. But Madam Speaker, what it appears to be sometimes is if you just put something on a paper just so it looks and it speaks to this narrative that, the politician them corrupt and them is crooks and them is thieves, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, that is the farthest thing from the truth.
No one can argue, Madam Speaker, that the Auditor General has a job to do, and she's obviously doing it. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the way the information in the report is being conveyed can be misleading. Even though it's factual, it could be, in many cases, 99% of the time it's factual, but it could be misleading.
Madam Speaker, I don't want persons would think of this report when they look at it. Some already have made up their minds what they want to think anyway, because nothing good could come out of the House of Assembly. It's just them trying to help themselves. So, Madam Speaker, I want persons, when they look through this report, that they understand we're during a very difficult time. We were given some funding to assist how best we see. There was some guidance. We followed the guidance the best we could. Help as many persons as we could. Madam Speaker, there'll always be audits, but I would say audits should always be made not for destructive reasons or to try to make anybody look bad, but audits should always, at the end of the day, leave systems stronger, more effective, and more efficient. I'm not sure that this side does any of that.
Madam Speaker, also, be that as it may, I believe that context is also important in terms of when persons pick up these reports and read them. I think that's why it's important for us to be the Auditor General's report is the Auditor General's report, that members have the ability to be able to debate these reports in the House of Assembly and to provide the relevant context that might have been missing from the entire process of compiling the reports. When these reports are laid, they're not gospel. Auditor General does her investigation, but it does not mean that her conclusions are infallible. And as the member for the 8th said, these reports don't provide the context necessary for persons to understand why things took place or didn't take place. And so it's important for us to be able to provide a more balanced perspective by debating the audit.
Some members took the opportunity to provide additional context regarding the spending mentioned in the report, aiming to shed light on the specific circumstances surrounding the mentioned expenditures. Further details on those contributions will be provided in a subsequent broadcast. In other news, nearly $24 million will be made available to the government of the Virgin Islands following the approval of a second schedule of additional provisions on Thursday. Premier and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, confirmed that a total of $23,648,042 was approved following the amendments to the initial SAP. Of the sum, he said that $16,259,880 is allocated to the recurrent expenditure, of which $10,048,072 is in excess of the appropriated amount.
Recurrent expenditure $16,259,880, of which $10,048,072 are to be expended in excess of the appropriated amount and will be funded in the following manner: $11,641 from grant funding, $400,000 from the miscellaneous purpose fund, and $9,636,431 to be charged against the consolidated fund. $6,211,808 in savings from the reallocation of funds are to be expended in variation of the appropriated amount to be charged against the consolidated fund of the territory.
In addition, Premier Wheatley said a capital acquisition expenditure in the amount of $2,692,637 is included in the SAP and will be funded in the following manner.
$509,862 from grant funding, $333,400 from the Transportation Network Improvement Fund, and $250,000 from the Environmental Protection and Tourism Improvement Fund, $618,000 from the Consolidated Fund, $564,500 from the Development Fund, $416,875 are to be expended in variation of the appropriated amount to be charged against the Development Fund of the Territory by way of funds transferred from the Consolidated Fund.
As it pertains to capital expenditure, Premier Wheatley said that the sum of $4,695,525 has been allocated.
$100,000 from the Miscellaneous Purpose Fund, $750,000 from the Transportation Network Improvement Fund, $130,000 from the Consolidated Fund, and $2,375,525 from the Development Fund. $2,370,525 from the Development Fund. $1,345,000 are to be expended in variation of the appropriated amount to be charged against the Development Fund of the Territory by way of funds transferred from the Consolidated Fund.
The Finance Minister also took the time to explain the reason for the second SAP.
Madam Speaker, throughout the year, there may be need for any government to bring a schedule of additional provisions to the House of Assembly for its consideration. This can be a result of a plethora of reasons, including the reprioritization of its projects, programs, and initiatives, unforeseen expenditure that may have arisen, and the insertion into the budget of grant funding that is administered by central government. Madam Speaker, obviously, we had an election, and of course, we made certain policy decisions following the elections. We have two new ministries, the Ministry for Financial Services, Labor and Trade, the Ministry for Tourism, Culture and Sustainable Development. And of course, we would have had to appropriated funds for those ministries to be staffed and operated. Of course, other things have popped up as well.
Premier Wheatley also underscored the source of the additional funds.
Funding for this SAP was identified from the Consolidated Fund, the Development Fund, the Transportation Network Improvement Fund, and the Miscellaneous Purposes Fund. Madam Speaker, grant funding from UNICEF towards education and the RESEMBID project, which is funded by the EU towards environmental initiatives, have also been identified. This particular funding source does not put undue financial burden on the Treasury like the other sources and is therefore encouraged.
Viewers, with that, we take you to a quick word from our sponsors. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Today, I am doing coral treatments with Beyond the Reef. Today, we are doing shark research. So today, we are doing whale research. with Beyond the Reef. And wherever I go, I take CCT with me because my life is unlimited.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of it then. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with news that the Roadtown Market Square project is under scrutiny as concerns arise about the lack of activity and utilization of the newly renovated space. During a recent appearance on the Talking Points talk show, Junior Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries Dr. the Honorable Carl Dawson faced questions regarding the current state of the Roadtown Market Square. The hosts of the program expressed their disappointment in the fact that despite significant investment in the project, the kiosks at the square remain unoccupied.
We've just spent $1.4 million, I think was the last count, for a market in town. Mm-hmm. It's not utilized. I mean, you go there on any given day and there's no produce being sold there. The vendors that used to be in that area, they relocated to the new area and they've stayed there. Yeah. Have there been discussions with those persons to get them to utilize the market or new persons to utilize it? And how do we bring that together so that we get some vibrancy in this
where
thing?
they are now is free. Just so you know.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you made an excellent point that where they are now is free, but at the same time too, we did have an intention. I mean, when it was built, there was an intention.
Dawson went on to reveal that, to his knowledge, all of the kiosks at the square are currently leased, though they may appear unused.
Figure out, because as it is, as I understand it, that actually all the booths there are rented. Don't mind you see some of them not occupied, they're rented.
This revelation raised concerns about why individuals would hold on to the spaces without utilizing them and whether they are fulfilling their lease arrangements by paying for the reserved spaces.
So, and whether or not you're paying the rent, but if you just take it to hold on to it, then it needs to be taken back. It's supposed to be for business.
It's functional.
And to help agriculture to grow.
Dawson expressed that at this time, it may not be appropriate to reclaim the kiosks from their leases. This, as he noted the possibility that individuals may need some time to develop their ideas and get their businesses up and running.
You cannot have a market where you expect people to go and patronize without adequate parking, and for that, the vendors are going to suffer. So if we're going to take it seriously, that's something we need to look at as a matter of priority.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is, but I know I've heard that as one of the issues that they're seeking to address.
And with the Emancipation Festival quickly approaching, the host suggested the integration of the market square for vending during the peak of events, which would help attract more visitors and increase the utilization of the space.
And also, Honorable Dawson, you know, we've got the August Emancipation coming up, and there's going to be all sorts of wholesale vending going on. Given that we've got this wonderful set of kiosks that are unoccupied or paid for, shouldn't there be some sort of campaign to move people to maybe there as a first instance rather than alongside the road where the parking problems are exacerbated because you stop alongside the road to pick up some mangoes or what? So we've got to get Road Town and this whole coordinated approach coordinated.
Yeah.
It's still very haphazard at the moment, it would seem.
Yeah. As I said, though, some of even the vacant ones are on the lease.
Are on the lease.
So it's not as if, though, we can just simply send persons to them.
But the leaseholders to occupy them.
Meanwhile, opposition legislator Honorable Marlon Penn is urging the government to settle its debt with the BVI Electricity Corporation, claiming that it is owed in excess of $10 million.
Government owes a tremendous amount of money to the corporation. And we have to find ways to ensure that we get the resources to the corporation so the corporation could function the way that it ought to. I see where even one entity, I got an email last week, with over $5 million from just one entity alone that owes monies to the corporation. That is something that we have to fix, we have to address to ensure that the viability of this organization continues. It cannot continue if government is owing in excess almost $10 million in outstanding fees to the corporation.
At the time of Penn's comment, he was speaking during a debate in the House of Assembly in favor of the motion to appoint Mr. Sheldon Scatliff as the new chairman of the board of the BVIEC. Penn also urged the BVIEC to find innovative ways of conducting business in the territory, as it is the corporation's responsibility to ensure that it is operating efficiently.
And the corporation also has a responsibility to do things differently, to get more creative in the way that it finances operations, get more creative in the way that it operates. I know that it has a new leadership, not just at the board level. There's new leadership within the CEO level. And I know the CEO personally. I know he has a keen eye. The managing director has a keen eye as looking towards renewable energy and modernizing the grid to a point where it can make electricity not just more efficient and cost effective for the corporation, but more cost effective for the consumer. I don't know about you, Madam Speaker, but every day before you log on to look at your electricity bill, you have to say a prayer, because you don't know what number is going to show up this month. And I could imagine the many persons throughout the territory who are grappling with exorbitant costs to date, particularly during the summer months.
As it pertains to Scatliff's appointment, Penn said he is the right option to lead the BVIEC's board.
Madam Speaker, the nominee before us is, as was read in his CV by the Honorable Minister for Communication and Works, lengthy CV, very capable and competent individual, Madam Speaker. I have no doubt, based on what I see in his CV, that he's the right choice for this time, considering the financial challenges that we are aware that the board is experiencing, the corporation experiences currently. Not only has he the capacity on his CV, I've had the privilege, Madam Speaker, to work with Mr. Scatliff for about a decade at the Financial Services Commission. I've seen him in action in his ability to execute under pressure, execute in very complex environment. And that is indeed what the corporation needs at this time.
And with that, we take a quick word from our sponsors. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
So tonight, I am an international musician and also a bandman. Let's go behind the scenes. This is how I live my life. Unlimited with CCT.
Shake me awake, bring me back to reality.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Premier of the Virgin Islands, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Weasley, praised CARICOM for its renewed commitment to the British Virgin Islands and other associate members on the occasion of the regional body's 50th anniversary. Ron Grant has this report.
At CARICOM's 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago from the 3rd to the 5th of July, the heads of government agreed to, and I quote, regular consultations with the associate members prior to the regular July meetings of the conference. The commitment in the meeting communicates one of the primary recommendations of a CARICOM special consultation organized at the request of Premier Wheatley to discuss near and long-term CARICOM support associate members to support their social, political, economic, and sustainable development. The heads of government also expressed their desire for Martinique and Curacao to become associate members as soon as possible. Commenting on CARICOM's renewed commitment to its associate members, Premier of the Virgin Islands, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Weasley, said, "The associate members owe a great debt to the immediate past chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip Davis, who actively sought to deepen engagement between CARICOM and its associate members in strengthening regional cooperation. CARICOM," he said, "has embraced its entire family that also includes the 5 current associate members of Anguilla, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, and Turks and Caicos Islands. They enrich CARICOM and add value in various ways, especially where they have expertise or competence such as financial services. The associate members also gain and learn from the experience of the full members." He said, "I am very grateful for CARICOM's expression of support to associate members on its 50th anniversary and look forward to Martinique and Curacao joining the ranks of associate members in due course." Premier Wheatley and other heads of government also discussed trade, food security, regional security, climate change, and international finance, among other things. Special guests at CARICOM's 50th anniversary celebration included UN Secretary General H.E. Antonio Guterres, President of Rwanda H.E. Paul Kagame, Prime Minister of South Korea H.E. Han Duck-soo, and United States Secretary of State Mr. Antony Blinken, who was joined by members of the U.S. Congress. Additionally, H.E. Dr. Sultan Ahmed El Jabbar, COP28 President-designate, UAE Special Envoy for Climate Change, and Minister of Industrial and Advanced Technology attended the virtually. Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Wheatley was joined by Special Envoy Mr. Benito Wheatley, Deputy Director of Internal Affairs Secretariat Ms. Dwynell Davis, and Assistant Secretary for External Affairs Ms. Zyra Wheatley. The British Virgin Islands became an associate member of CARICOM in July 1991. CARICOM was established on the 4th of July in 1973.
And viewers, that is all for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com. Like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. I'm Jacko Whitting and I will see you again next week. So have yourself a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.